All right, the Senate is still voting, or doing energy, so I'll do the Senate bills. They're all cross files. Senate Bill 410 is a direct cross file of House Bill 660. Are there any questions? Okay, that concludes the bill hearing. Senate Bill 629 is a direct cross file of House Bill 718. Are there any questions? That concludes the bill hearing. Senate Bill 07 is a direct cross-file of House Bill 720, passed 135-0 in the House. All right. That concludes the bill hearing. Senate Bill 243, direct cross-file of House Bill 721, passed 133-0 in the House. All right. That concludes the bill hearing. Senate Bill 486, direct cross-file of House Bill 1075, passed the House 131-0. Any questions on that bill? All right. All right, this former appropriations member, Cardozo. That includes the bill hearing. Also a Cardozo bill. 709, direct cross-file passed 136-0 in the House. Any questions? All right, that concludes the bill hearing. Senate Bill 728, direct cross-file of House Bill 845, passed 126-0. Any questions? That includes the bill hearing. Senate Bill 188 is a direct cross-file of House 229. It did have 96-33 votes, but any questions? It was a cross-file. We had the House hearing. Some questions for the okay, you're the floor leader. Tell us about the bill. I'm just kidding. All right, well, that goes under the don't start, none will be none.
Why does it have a witness on the list? Okay, I'll shut up.
Senate Bill 228. Cross-file of House Bill 227, which passed 101-35, was contested, but we did have the House hearing on the bill. Are there any questions? Are there any amendments on this bill? I see that there was a witness, maybe.
Oh, which one?
228? No amendments, so we don't need a witness. Any questions on that? All right, that concludes the bill hearing. House Bill 233.
Whoa, what?
I'm sorry, Senate Bill 48, a direct cross-file of House Bill 233. There were any amendments on this bill? All right.
Yes.
There were. Okay, so is there a witness on that bill?
48.
Come on up.
Someone in the middle.
You want to tell us? Oh, is that? Oh, IAC is here.
He's like, this drive was not a
Tell us about the amendments.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. There were a handful of amendments to the Senate bill, and those were arrived at by the IAC, MSDE, and DGS after negotiations and discussions with stakeholder groups to address their questions and requests. In summary, those were two around reducing the load on school districts where possible and appropriate, specifically by increasing the cost threshold for certain projects to be subject to state review and approval, and by specifying the school districts need only provide certain data to the IAC on facility conditions once every 4 years instead of annually. In addition, a third amendment specified the actual contents and timing of reports that the IAC will provide to LEAs and counties in the CIP process, so the local jurisdictions have frequent updates on what the IAC is projecting for their project funding. And finally, a fourth amendment that simply removed an unnecessary provision.
When was the last time the cost threshold had been raised?
Years and years ago.
Okay, so probably makes
very
sense
much out
at
of
this
date.
point. All right. Any issues with any of the amendments the Senate had? Okay. Any questions for the IAC? Okay. Thanks for being with us.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you for the information.
Appreciate it.
That concludes the bill hearing. Senate Bill 142, a direct cross-file of House Bill 232. It passed all of the delegates to grammar. So it did pass the House 135-1. Any questions on the bill? Okay, that concludes the bill hearing. There are amendments on 311, so I see Rachel's with us. Are you the witnesses on the bill? Joy, Rachel, Rhea, Sarah, Spencer, come on up. Because I know that they did make some changes to what we did. So if you can just, keep your testimony to what the changes are, because we did pass this bill and we did have a bill hearing on it.
Absolutely. Good afternoon. Thank you for having us.
Rachel Heiss, Executive Director of the AIB. And I did just want to focus on two main differences in the bills. There are a number of differences, and we do have a comparison document we're happy to share with you if you'd like. But the two main differences between the House and Senate versions relate to the expert review teams, funding for fiscal year '27, and then the community eligibility provision hold harmless. So on the expert review team, thank you for your consideration of our amendments to pause the program for this coming year and give us some time to work with MSDE to rethink the program and come back to you next session with a multi-year plan. What we propose for this year is that the funds be allowed to be transferred and used for the academic excellence program. The Senate did do that. And the House, you did approve the pause and authorize the use of the ERT funds for other eligible blueprint purposes, but not for the academic excellence program. So we would, if possible, ask for your consideration of, we appreciate that you all would like to not have blueprint funds go towards the academic excellence program and keep that separate and general funded. So in order to sort of preserve that, there is a possibility that you could actually take funds that are in another blueprint program that has general funds and swap the special funds that are in the ERT program for the general funds, for example, in Judy centers. And then you would be able to use general funds for the academic excellence program if you are amenable to that. So that's the first thing. The second item is the hold harmless. The Senate only approved a one-year hold harmless with a report due, I think, in December. This December. We appreciate the additional time that the House has given AIB and MSDE to work on this issue, and would appreciate having more than just 6-8 months to do this work. Who's doing the report? The AIB and MSDE. So we would appreciate having more time than the current Senate version. So we thank you for that.
Let's hear from the whole panel. Take questions. Yeah. Sarah, you want to start? Go down.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, members of the committee. Sarah Sample from the Maryland Association of Counties. The main thing that we just wanted to comment on was that hold harmless extension. Initially, the counties had no issues with this. This is something that obviously has to do with the most resource scarce students that are in our schools. What we would prefer, though, is that the Senate amendments are adopted to try to get the information, the information that's going to be in that report out sooner and before next session. We want to make sure that we have as much information as possible as we're going to be considering potential changes to the blueprint. We think this is obviously a really important provision of the blueprint. One is one of the founding components of it. And so we want that to be done as soon as possible because we feel like the longer this sort of drags on, the more likely we are to sort of squander some of the outcomes that we really need to come out of the blueprint. We really need this investment to pay off for us and for students and our teachers. So thank you very much.
Joy? Hi, all. Thank you, Chair and committee. Two notes. One is on Comp Ed. You as a committee listened really deeply to advocates who asked for a more community-based process, and with that, we recommend the 3-year hold harmless as well as the longer extension on the report due by the AIB and MSDE for a thorough community-based process. Will also allow us to work with parents, county boards, students, advocates in that process, as well as it limits the impact on students in that long-term process. One thing that we do want to ask the committee to do is align with the Senate's amendment on the technology report. SB 311 removed the repeal of this report, effectively keeping the reporting requirements active. We ask that you amend you agree with the SB 311 amendments, because in an era of inclement weather, potential asynchronous learning days, digital access is key, especially for educational continuity, and we strongly recommend keeping this report so we know who has access to internet and computers in our counties. That's all on our end, and thank you so much for having us.
Hi, I'm Spencer Rhoda. I'm a delegate candidate for 9A. So the blueprint has a funding problem. Per your instruction, I'll keep this to the 2027 funding. The amendment related to the 2027 funding, yes. So you're looking at a $3 billion essentially deficit in the program right now. There are a few ways to attack that. The third-party contractors, the expansion of pre-K, the nonprofits that are, going to be taking roughly $3 billion off of the 2027 budget. If those were simply struck, pulling this back and making it something that we can actually tackle. Everybody wants the blueprint to succeed, but right now we're setting ourselves up for, for example, Montgomery County, just to hit the mandates by the blueprint, they had massive tax raises. I saw my taxes go up 6% on property taxes and 3% on income taxes. Howard County is going to be doing the same thing. So this is just a pass down to a county tax. It's no new tax for the state, but it's a new tax for the county.
Thank you. Any questions from the panel on any of the amendments? That's not it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Heiss, thanks for joining us today. I just want to confirm the expert review team is a separate group than what would work on a county that's having challenges with fiscal compliance, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you. I just appreciate it.
Yep.
We're likely to probably stick with the House position and work these things out in conference, just so you know, but we hear your messaging on this, and when we get to conference, all of your testimony will be taken into consideration.
Right.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you all for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's all of our bills. We're gonna just need 2 minutes to change over so we can vote. So we're adjourned on the bills.